better than N Times Fun or the one before it. I'm
Sure.
just not. Everything I ever worked towards is in there. Everything I've ever done to make me is in there. All right? And they did fine. They did well. The timing of the last one was prescient and fucking weird, you know, because there was a prophetic element to it, but it didn't blow up. It didn't get me an Emmy nomination. But it's really the best I can do. So there's part of me that thinks, like, what is it? I mean, I couldn't have been more accessible. Okay, fine. Mike Pence blows Jesus at the end. I still couldn't have been more accessible. So there's like, that's the thing. It's like, how is this not for everybody? Why aren't there more kids at my shows? You know what I'm saying? But so I still
oh my God, this is the conversation we had 17 years ago. Why are there not more people at my shows? How come I don't have an Emmy? I don't know. I don't know what is Dane Cook doing? I don't know why people like that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know why people like that guy.
Okay. All right. But the truth is I know I have a tremendous, beautiful fan base. I know I sell out the places I go to. And I know all that.
You're a top 100 American comic all time, without question.
Good. Yeah. No, I agree. So like in the sense that I get it sometimes, it's not real. But
you don't want to know where you rank. You don't want to know where you rank in the top 100.
I'd rather not.
Okay. All right.
But because I don't know who makes those lists. Some kid in an office at Rolling Stone.
No, I was talking about an imaginary one in my head. But all right.
All right. I'm glad I made the cut. So like it could have been top 20 would have been nice. 100, sure. Okay. Well, thanks.
Well, humility.
So, yeah. But what I'm saying is that there's about self-ownership and about knowing that, like, it's okay, once you find your place and you find your people and you find your voice, it's a very comforting thing. And then to accept that, like, it isn't for everybody and that's okay, and to sort of make fun of that, which I do as well, is great. And to sort of have the power to sort of make people look at things differently, which is really why I got into comedy, which is what comics did for me, which is they would frame things in a way that I would understand, and also to, make me think about things differently. And we can do all that. And the fact that you were able to figure out how to do it, around politics without seeming too strident, which I think you had to work through, or
Absolutely.
too anger that you had to work through, and balance it with mango jokes, it takes time to do that.
Well, to be fair, that mango joke's also about colonialism.
No, I know.
I mean, I think a lot. I mean, I'll say that all those things are, and I appreciate that. Thank you. But I feel like my goal is still, I still think about you on a Tuesday night at the Comedy Cellar, dying. And talking about things like, I remember, like, to me, like, you, like, oh, this is what Pryor did. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. I've never completely gotten there. I've never shared the stuff that hurts the most. I haven't.
Like, when you think about that in particular, when you say that, you seem to know what that is. What is that? What is the area of that in you?
Depression, anxiety.
Oh.
Like, man, fuck, I didn't expect to be alive 5 years ago. Like, I wanted to be done. Like, this is not, that's why, like, the idea of, like, I'm happy and tired because I have a kid and I'm still around. But, like, for me, it's funny because I'm saying, like, at one hand, I'm saying, like, I would love to talk about this stuff on stage, and I'm saying it to you. So I guess it's already kind of happening right now. But, like, to be able to share that, like, what it feels like to not want to be alive, to be depressed, to be anxious, to have panic attack after panic attack after panic attack in a hotel room in Australia at the Melbourne Comedy Festival.
I had that.
You had what? You went to the Melbourne Comedy Festival?
No, I got sent home from Australia.
Australia was your Australia too? Like, you had the same?
But it was way before the Melbourne Comedy Festival. It was just like I bombed so badly on a 5-week run that they sent me home after the first week. You got to listen to me tell that story at some point. But okay, so what was your panic attack about in Australia?
It was, I don't know, man. It was everything. Everything was terrible.
Yeah.
Certainly, like, it's a mix of what am I doing with my life, and I'm sick. Why am I on the road constantly, and I'm alone, and I'm depressed, and this sucks. What the fuck am I doing with my life? And I'm in this, I'm in this room. They put you in the same room. You're there for 2 weeks. And for a
were you
run.
doing a one-person show?
I was doing that headliners thing, and it was with Wyatt Cenac, Mike Kaplan, and Cristela Alonso. And
so like two depressed guys, a math guy, and the other guy.
Well, the thing is, I had to go on. I'm pretending like I wasn't feeling well. Like I was sick, generally speaking. In addition to being depressed out of my mind, but I'm pretending that everything's okay. Hey, what'd you do today? Oh, I just went around and saw stuff, and I'm like, no, I was in bed having panic attacks and being tired and passing out, and then waking up, and I'm like, oh, where did I leave off? Oh yeah, and then another panic attack. Like that was what Australia was to me, and then probably drinking too much good coffee, which doesn't help the anxiety. So
no.
I mean, at a certain point, I ended up like canceling 6 months of shows, telling my reps that I just wasn't feeling great.
Yeah,
I just feel kind of sick, But meanwhile, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
What do you think it was? Was it fear? I mean, was it like? Do you think it's clinical depression? Because was it just like anxiety?
I had been depressed for years, and definitely refusing to medicate in any way, because fuck that. Plus, I think a lot of South Asian cultures, the idea of sharing your personal life with someone else is very taboo. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not something.
Yeah, I get it. You got to keep it to yourself because we're trying to make it here.
Right, exactly. This is us, and so that's you don't, and plus you don't let outsiders know your shit.
Right.
And to break through that, to accept therapy to begin with, then medication just felt like a weakness, right? And I'm a homebody that chose a really weird job for a homebody. Like I'm a well-traveled homebody.
Yeah.
And
so that's anxiety. Yeah.
It's anxiety. It's being alone. It's like, what value am I adding to the world? It's stuff at home that I don't want to get into, but it's like a lot of that's building, and it was not good. It's funny. I was talking to Kamau Bell the other day, and W. Kamau Bell is one of my best friends. He's a mentor. He's a brother. Like I owe him so much as a friend, but. I was talking to him about this the other day, and he had no idea any of this happened 5 years ago, and I just assumed I had told him. But like, it was one of those things where, like, I think about my life in terms of 5 years ago. Everything is really 5 years ago. Like, when people talk about this documentary, about this Apu documentary, to me, it's like it was a pop documentary that for me was like a side project that I thought was interesting that turned into this whole global thing where people in Brazil are sending me death threats in Portuguese. Like, to
when
me...
was this? When was that? When did you make that?
The thing came out, I think, in 2018, the Apu doc. And, like, to me, the Apu doc, the thing that I'm proud of is the fact that was one of the first things I wrote a pitch for after I came out of where I was. Like, it was one of the first things that, that I actually decided to make. Like, I kept going, like... That and my second record, I'm like, this came out of a bad period. To me, everything from this point on is fucking gravy. Like,
So you made it through the. So when I asked you originally, what got us here is like, that you feel like you need to, that you don't address that on stage. Well, maybe you don't need to.
I feel like being able to address. Both as a human being, but also as a performer, being able to address the most difficult things and turn that into art.
Yeah.
That's what the great performers do. And I feel like people who like my stand-up, they know who I am through what I am saying and through what I believe, but they have no sense of any of that.
Okay,
they have no sense of the context that creates those feelings.
Right. Well, so my suggestion is I would definitely punch it up a little bit.
You don't think you think the suicide would have been the bigger punchline, right? If I done it, that would have been the bigger.
No. I'm just saying that, like,
that would. I think that would
the
have been
intensity
a bigger pop.
with which you were explaining it. This feels like when I first talked to you. That was the energy that you had when I first talked to you at the Cellar. It's so funny. I'm sorry you went through that.
What's the name of that clown that everyone talks about? The one
Pagliacci.
Yeah.
Sad clown.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who we are.
Yeah.
That's funny though, because I can't see it. I can't see it in you anymore. So maybe like I don't see it. Like
See what? The anxiety,
the depression. Not anxiety's anxiety.
I feel like I'm in a very different place than I was. I think I put a lot of work in, and I don't think I understood the work I put in. I also don't think I understood the impact I was having on other people. I don't think I understood, and I'm still working on like the selfish choices I made and things. When you're depressed, when you're miserable, you're dragging everybody. When you're drowning, you're dragging everyone down with you to keep yourself up. And I was doing that. Like I feel terrible about it. I know that the version of me that did it isn't the me that's talking to you now. But like, to me, like, it's funny, like hearing people talk about, that's the guy that wants to kill the cartoon character. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that.
I didn't really know about all this. So this is after you got through the depression, you made the Apu doc, which is basically an argument, founded in, the stereotype that sort of, because South Asians were so not represented culturally in America, that Apu became this sort of this identifier for almost all white Americans.
It's a few things. One, it's the idea of this is how a stereotype carries, how this particular stereotype was grandfathered in because The Simpsons is the show that's lasted longer than anyone could have expected. The impact a stereotype has. Also, it's a singular example, which is useful to look at minstrelsy in general, how it's worked historically. Sure. We got Whoopi Goldberg to talk about the history of black minstrelsy and kind of the legacy of that, the impact that has.
But ultimately, the journey was for somebody to take fucking responsibility for Apu and what it put you and your Indian compatriots through as a stereotype.
I think that was the way to sell the documentary. I mean, I think the documentary I wanted to make had no voiceover and was just edits between interviews, but I was doing it for True TV, and we had to account for commercial breaks.
But but I thought it was very effective and provocative, and you talked to a lot of the right people. And I thought that the lessons about people not being represented culturally is it's everything.
It's a very good 101. And I think what's hard is that if you're somebody who knows this stuff, like for brown people, for people who, it's like, this is old, man. This is like shit. So for me, it was like, I know the only thing that was really interesting in it was to be able to talk to other brown people, and also be able to talk about like Satyajit Ray and the history of the Apu trilogy.
I know.
Like,
I want to go see those movies again. I only saw the first one.
But I mean, that to me is like the film, I made a short film in 2006 called Manoj that covered the stuff that's in that documentary in 12 minutes. And to me, the documentary is saying more than showing. And
I guess what I didn't understand or what I didn't know about was the backlash. That I thought like, I'm such a fucking dumb idealist, progressive person or open-minded enough to think like, well, Hank, he's not going to do the voice anymore. They might not have the character anymore. Victory. We move on. But I didn't realize that there was a global movement against you for ruining The Simpsons.
And for people who didn't even see the documentary, because the documentary was only available in the U.S. for more than a year, so people are reading what they think it's about from different articles. It's still not available in South America. I don't know why all these death threats in Spanish showed up, but that's the way. Because at a certain point, it's a template, right? It's not actually about what the argument is. It's the idea of anybody questioning something becoming this politically correct, crusade to destroy everything we love versus, no, I'm a Simpsons fan. I'm talking about the complications of art and how art and culture interact. That's what this thing's about. It's not about hating a thing or not. And what I wanted, I was hoping for a nuanced argument about representation, and instead I got like this nonsense. Like the idea of making a movie about a cartoon and then having extra security at shows is fucking absurd.
Right.
And then having to tell like the security guards, why did they hire me? It's like, because I made a cartoon movie and people like the cartoon. It sounds fucking ridiculous.
You had to do that? You had to hire extra security?
Yeah, it's like you want that if you're saying Lenny Bruce type shit. You don't want that when you're talking about the cartoon bothers me. Like, who wants that? Like, it's stupid.
There was credible death threats, you think, against you?
Who know? I don't know what credible means. I know
Yeah.
that it was enough where people are